welcome back to my channel. If you clicked on this video, you've probably seen the title and you're like, what is this girl talking about? Today I'm going to be getting ready for a casual day, but I'm gonna be telling you a story about when I was in Greece and this couple tried to do a little something with me. So before we get right into the story time and all the goodies I'm gonna be using on my face today, I just want to say this video is not to discourage anyone from solo traveling. I solo travel all the time. Nothing like this has happened to me outside of this one event. So I'm telling this story because I was talking about it on TikTok and people were like, please make a YouTube video. We want to know all the details. So please do not be discouraged with solo travel. But if you are interested in solo traveling, I do have a guide that tells you step by step how to do it so you remain safe and you don't run into this situation like I did. I'm going to start with my Butterskin Vitamin C Serum. This is my go-to for everything. I think I'm kind of low. I use this all the time. You can't go wrong. It's great for all skin types. Just ever started recording, a cyber went by, and thank you LA for being loud. Anyway, I went to Greece for a vacation. This is a solo vacation. I was in Greece for about 9 days. I just really, oh my God, these sirens. And the sirens are finally gone. I also use Clinique Moisture Surge. This one is the one that is their pretty old, but really good formula. Anyway, all right, I went to Greece for vacation. I went in September because I wanted to get the cheaper prices. I also wanted to go when it wasn't going to be crowded and touristy and everything because it's just so much easier to vacation in popular tourist places outside of tourist season. So I went in September. The price was right, so I got on that flight. I stayed at the beach at a family-owned hotel. It was very nice. I had this balcony and a patio that overlooked the pool at the hotel and also the ocean. So it was like an ocean front view room. It was so nice. There was a hotel next door and that hotel had a restaurant. Because it was so close to me, I would just go eat in the restaurant almost every single day. The food was also really, really good and also reasonably priced for Mykonos. I met a waiter who kept waiting on me every time that I ate dinner there. So he was really nice. He worked there every summer and he would drive tourists to the Old Town, which is the popular town where you see people shopping in Greece. Where I was staying on the beach, it was about a 30-minute drive from the Old Town. So these sirens are driving me nuts. If you hear any more sirens in this video, please ignore them. I am so sorry. Anyway, I'm staying at a beachfront hotel. The hotel is 30 minutes away from the Old Town. So for most of the days, I would take the bus into town and just go and explore, walk around, whatever. But there was one day I didn't get great sleep, so I ended up sleeping throughout the day, but I still wanted to go to the Old Town to go have dinner. I was talking to the waiter guy that at this point had become my friend, and he was like, I will take you to the Old Town tonight at 7. He drives me over there and he drops me off near the windmill. If you've been in Mykonos, the windmill is like a very popular touristy spot. A lot of people will go to watch the sunset. There's a lot of musicians out there and vendors. It's really cute, it's really nice. That's where he dropped me off. I ate dinner at a restaurant that was near the windmill and I start walking. By the way, he tells me that when I want to come home, because he also volunteered to bring me back to the hotel, we would meet at the windmills and I would have to tell him at least 30 minutes in advance because the hotel was 30 minutes away. So everything made sense. Agreed to it. I was like, I'm not going to be here that long. Thank you, friend, for doing this. So I went to go eat dinner. Dinner was super fast because again, I was alone, so there wasn't a lot to really do. They did give me a shot after dinner, which I was really excited about. That is a part of the Greek culture that when you get a drink at dinner, you do get a shot as like dessert at the end. So I really like that a lot. But I had this one shot, which really didn't feel like anything. And then I just started walking around the town. I am trying out the Rare Beauty primer. I got this in Sephora yesterday. I've been looking for a new primer because I've been using Urban Decay for a while and it's okay, but I kind of like feel ashy in it, if you know what I mean. So I'm gonna try out the Rare Beauty one. I'm walking around and I'm walking through Little Venice, which is part of the town where there's Italian restaurants and there's really nice water view. It's really cute. I had been there already earlier in the week. I'm through Little Venice and I see this black couple that is sitting in one of the restaurants. And I just like do my little wave, you know, like, hi, because I hadn't seen black people really this entire trip. The guy stops me and he says, you look just like my wife. And I was just like, huh? Today I'm also gonna try the newest Lancome Idol Ultra Wear. They gifted me this, so I'm gonna try it out. They gave me 2 different shades because I don't know which shade is mine, so we're gonna see which one goes with my color. He says, you look like my wife. And I was like, and then he goes over there and he points to the black woman that he was with. We didn't look anything alike at all. We couldn't be any more different. I think we had somewhat similar hairstyles. My hair was like this, but a little bit shorter, and hers was about the same length and also curly. That's really the only thing we had in common. He was like, oh, where are you from? And I was like, oh, I'm from Philly, but I'm here for vacation. And he was like, oh, okay, well, it's nice to meet you. And I was like, yeah, nice to meet you too. He also told me that they were from Atlanta. So I was like, oh, okay. That was it. I just kept walking, mind my business. I walked to a few stores. I'd spoken to a few shop owners. Like, it wasn't anything crazy. It wasn't a crazy night yet. The sun goes down. And I don't know what to do because I don't yet want to go home. This one is the 510. It's too dark. I got the 510 and the 450. 450 looks closer, but it also looks a little too light for my skin, so I'm just gonna try to mix them. Okay, mixing definitely did not do anything. This is way too dark. I'm gonna take it off and start over. It's dark outside. I don't want to go back yet to my hotel because it's only been about an hour since I left. I also don't want to go eat anywhere. Like I'm just content. I sit on this bench in the middle of the town. I'm using the free Wi-Fi on my phone. I'm really not doing much of anything. And then I hear a couple that I saw talking to each other, and they're like laughing and stuff. They're kind of walking towards me, but they don't see me. At least I don't think they saw me. They make eye contact, and I'm like, you guys are following me. I know you're following me. They were like, oh my gosh, we didn't even see you. Oh my gosh, like so crazy, whatever. And they sit down on the bench next to me, and we actually start talking. So I'm gonna put on the Rare Beauty primer again. They start talking to me, and they're telling me about how they are both business owners, so they work for themselves, and they like to travel all season too, and they don't really plan too much of their trips. They kind of just like go with the flow. They're telling me how they just stick to themselves whenever they travel, because like they can't really travel with other people, and the one time they tried, they like ruined friendships. Like it was a whole story, right? So I was like, oh, okay. And they're like, oh, where are you staying? And I said, oh, I'm staying by the beach. They said, oh, how far is the beach? And I said, it's about 30 minutes away, but my driver's gonna come pick me up after. I try the 450 now by itself to see if it looks any better. Hopefully it does. This does have SPF in it, which is why I'm really adamant about trying it out. I need something with SPF because I just can't keep walking out here without anything on my face. They're like, oh, well, we're staying at insert hotel name here. And they were like, have you ever heard of the place? And I was like, no. And they were like, well, the last time we were here, we stayed there and we really liked it. It's really nice. A very sexy restaurant. That's what they kept saying. They're like, it's just so sexy. Like, it's a sexy place. I was like, oh, okay, you know, sounds nice. And they were like, well, do you want to go to dinner? And I said, well, I just ate dinner and so did you. They're like, oh, well, let's just go to drinks. I was like, okay. And they're like, we're gonna go to our hotel to have drinks. It's about a 5-minute walk up the road. They were now saying that their hotel was 5 minutes away, a 5-minute walk from the old town. So all you had to do was walk up the hill. The old town was kind of located right in the center. I was like, okay, let's go. As we start walking, they're like, wait, you aren't like weird or anything, right? And I was like, no, are you? And they were like, no, we're not. And I was like, okay. So we're walking. Now, this hotel was not a 5-minute walk away. It's more of like 12-ish minutes. And we were also walking on the road where the cars were driving. So it was a very interesting walk. The whole time, the husband is behind me and she's leading the way back to the hotel. So we get to this hotel and y'all, they were not kidding when they said it was sexy. It was like a cave. You could tell it was a fancy place. They're like, why don't you go to the bar and we're gonna go get changed so that we can go get drinks at this other restaurant that's even further from the hotel. And I was like, okay, let's just go to the bar. Like, I don't really think I'm gonna go. You know, like I said, I had already eaten and they were like, oh, we can do tapas. And I was like, let's go to this bar. Go to the bar and the wife goes up to go change her clothes. While we are at the bar, I'm sitting talking to the husband. He starts telling me about his businesses and the latest business that he's working on, how he typically travels and, you know, where they've traveled to before. It's like, yeah, so what do you do? I start telling him, like, you know, oh, I'm an engineer. This was back when I was an engineer. Research and blah, blah. And he was like, oh, like you're so pretty. I get a drink. He also gets a drink. He was trying to convince me to get tequila. And I was like, oh no, I'll just have a glass of wine. I'll just have some wine. I get the wine and he gets some drink with Hennessy in it. As we're talking, I'm noticing him getting closer to me. At one point, he puts his arm around, like on the chair that I'm sitting on. I start to lean forward and away from his arm because I obviously don't want this man to touch me. The 450 is definitely my shade. I actually really like it. It is a 24-hour wear foundation with breathable coverage. I actually do believe that. It feels really light on my face, so I'm liking it so far. We'll let you guys know how this Rare Beauty primer works out. It was really light to put on, so I do like how it is at this moment. Now I'm gonna go in with my Fenty Beauty concealer. I absolutely love this stuff. So he's talking and he starts to lean in, then I start to lean away, then the wife comes down and I'm like, thank you. Thank you, thank you. They swap seats. So before they swap seats, he tells the bartender to take a picture of the three of us. He stands up, she sits down, and he stands in between the both of us and puts his arms around us. His arm is around me and he's kind of like rubbing my arm. And I'm like, this is weird. So I'm like this in the picture. He goes upstairs, he sits down, and I start talking to her. Now, our conversation was for the most part okay. What struck me as a little odd was we were talking about Los Angeles. I was like, oh yeah, I am considering moving to LA. Now I'm in Philly. She was like, oh, I used to live in LA. Like, I loved it there. It was so great. I loved it so much. And she was like, where are you considering moving to? I was like, oh, I really don't know what neighborhood yet, but you know, I'm just on the market looking. I was like, where did you live when you were in LA? And she goes, OC. And in my mind, I'm like, I know I don't know a lot about LA, but Ocean County is not LA. It's not at all. So that kind of like triggers me. And I'm like, oh, so what did you like about OC? And she goes, oh, you know, there weren't a lot of us there, but I really did like the environment. It was really nice. So that was red flag number 2. Right, let me just leave it at that. Then we go from this super sexy hotel to this other very sexy restaurant. This restaurant is giving me weird vibes. Everyone that works in the restaurant, all the employees are in these togas. By this point, I had been in plenty of authentic Greek restaurants and I did not see a single person wearing a toga. So I was like, this is bizarre. Half of the tables were like beds and they were floating on the water. It was a really beautiful view. It was a gorgeous view. How everyone was sitting, I don't know, it was just one of those restaurants that I walked in and I'm like, what is this? Apparently it's a chain restaurant and they have a ton of locations all over in a bunch of different touristy destinations. It's not really my style when I want to go out to eat in a foreign country. I don't really go to places like that. So I go into this place and they're like, oh, we don't have any tables available right now, but you can go sit at the high tables near the bar and we'll call you when your table's ready. And they asked me, oh, do you want to eat? And I was like, no, I already ate. And they're like, okay, let's get a table for 3. And I was like, I literally just told you I'm not hungry. What is going on here? We sit at the high tables and now I am super weary of this guy. I am sitting away from him. I'm sitting where I'm across from him. Anytime he comes near me, I kind of like turn or twist. Like, I just don't want him to touch me at all. Because when he took that picture, again, his arms are right here and he was kind of like rubbing me. It just gave me weird vibes. I was like, no, thank you, sir. I'm not interested. The whole time she's like smiling too, by the way. She's like not really saying or saying anything or picking up on anything. Like, she's not like showing that she is picking up on something, even if she was. But we're sitting at the table, at the high tops table. They are waiting for their table. At this point, I know I'm not going to stay here. Like, I know I'm not eating at the table. We're talking. I again get another glass of wine and they're like, oh, do you want to get, you know, tequila? Like, trying to ask me if I want another drink. And I'm like, no, I will just have the Chardonnay. They each get a drink. They only get one, by the way. I was counting. They had each only had one drink at this restaurant, the second restaurant. We're just talking and they're like, yeah, we come to this restaurant all the time. We go to this destination and this destination. And I'm like, oh, okay. I just get like weird vibes. Can't quite explain what I'm feeling, but I'm like, I need to go. So they were like, oh, where's your hotel? where are you staying? And I was like, I'm staying at the beach. And they're like, oh yeah, but what hotel is it? And I'm like, oh, it's just, you know, a locally owned hotel that I'm staying at by the beach. They're like, oh, well, do you need a ride home? I was like, oh, I have a driver. He's actually on his way to come. Them asking me repeatedly about my hotel is what was like, okay, girl, you need to get out of here. You need to, all the alarm bells are sounding, right? I text my driver and I'm like, hey, I'm at this restaurant. Can you come pick me up? By this point, this restaurant is, not even kidding, a 40-minute walk away from the windmills where he said he was going to pick me up, like where we were gonna meet for him to pick me up. I'm like, you know, I actually have to go, you know, because I have to meet him at this other location, so I'm just gonna go. And they're like, just tell your driver to come here, like tell him to have a drink with us. I'm just gonna tell him to come pick me up from here. I don't know what he had done, what he was doing that night, or what had happened between the time where he dropped me off to when I texted him, but he was like, oh, I'm right around the corner, I will be there in 10 minutes. So the conversation continues, right? I tell them my driver is on the way to come pick me up. These sirens. We're sitting, I'm halfway through this glass of wine. At one point, the guy says, I have to go to the bathroom. Again, we are facing each other at this table and I am looking at the bathrooms. Like I can see the bathroom, so it is across from me. He gets up, he's like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, does anyone else have to go? And I was like, no, and she goes, no, I don't have to go. And he's like, okay, I'll be right back. He walks past me and I'm not even kidding. I am not kidding. He smacks my butt as he's walking away in the opposite direction of the bathroom, mind you. And then I see him walk down the front of the restaurant and do a big loop to actually go to the bathroom. I'm like, it's time to go. I need to make a quick getaway. I don't know why this man is touching me. I don't know why he just did that. I'm not into it. I'm not doing it. I'm texting my driver. I'm like, hey, how far are you? I need to go. He doesn't answer. So the guy comes back and he's like, thought you were gonna get picked up. And I was like, yeah, I'm still waiting for him to come. At this time, I get a message from my mom. My mom rarely messages me when I'm away because she knows that I'm typically doing something. So every now and again, she will text me a safety check, which is a green check mark, and it's just to make sure that I'm okay and well. That man returned from the bathroom and said, I thought your driver was coming to get you. My mom texted me and said, are you okay? To me, that was like a big red flaring alarm. I was like, okay, yeah, I gotta go. And I was like, yeah, actually, I'm texting my mom back. And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm like, yeah, my driver just arrived. Like, I'm gonna go. You know, it's really nice meeting you guys. I'm gonna go. And they were like, why don't you invite him in? Or do you wanna stay? And I was like, no, I'm gonna go. And I bolt out of that place. I leave so quickly. Finally, am refilling my setting spray. I love Urban Decay setting spray. I haven't bought it in a while because it's pretty pricey, but it gets the job done. I just got a new one of her from Sephora yesterday. Oh, incredible. As I'm leaving the restaurant, my driver pulls up. So then again, this is the waiter guy that I have been talking to all week long because he was waiting on me at the restaurant. I get in his car and I'm like, thank goodness you are here. He's like, what happened? He's like, how'd you even end up all the way over here? He's like, you are never gonna guess what happened. So I start explaining to him about, oh my gosh, what is this? I got a little primer on my shoulder here. I start explaining to him about this couple and he was like, oh my gosh, I think they were a little, and I was like, I think they maybe were too. He drives me back to the hotel, thankfully. I get home very, very safely and end up having another glass of wine on the beach and just talking about the situation. He actually told me after the fact that that restaurant was the reason why other restaurants had gone out of business, because tourists wanted to go to like the sexy location, and it's also a chain too. There's like a weird like shimmery coating on my face. Well, I didn't shake it. He tells me that a lot of tourists have to go to that restaurant and he's been there and he doesn't really like the food. I go back to my hotel room and I sleep until the next afternoon. It wasn't even that late. I think I went to bed at like 2. Such a crazy night. So that is my crazy, I almost got in Greece. So if you ever find yourself traveling alone and you just get weird vibes, trust that vibe. Trust the vibe, because sometimes your body knows that something isn't right before your mind can put 2 and 2 together. Luckily, I did have someone to get me out of the situation. If I were relying on something like a taxi or an Uber, it definitely wouldn't have gotten me out of that situation as fast. It goes to show that when you make friends with locals and staff members, that they will help you out when you need, because I ought to be in a very crazy situation and I didn't know. Like I said, I went with my gut and called folks when I knew that something was going on, something didn't feel right, but I was able to get out of the situation. So that is my story for today. I didn't even do my lips yet. So this is the NYX lingerie in the color Warm Up. If you want to hear more story times and just more about different stories from my travels, let me know in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.